Hi guys, Halfaz. I'm Doctor of Traditional Chinese Medicine from Melbourne, Australia. I'm really excited to invite you to my upcoming 2-day seminar, The Clinical Use of the 8 Extraordinary Vessels in Mental Health Conditions. Essentially, it's an exploration of the 8 extra vessels in how it regulates and depicts our behavior. I've been working solely in the area of mental health now for the past 15 or so years, and I've been using the 8 extra vessels very, very frequently, even though that we have been told in our college, perhaps it was the same for you, where we were told not to reuse these vessels essentially because they're reservoirs or they're reserves, so essentially stay away from them. It was only up until I started seeing some deeper cases of emotions and deeper emotional traumas when I realized something is missing, and what was missing is actually the essence and power and the gift of these 8 vessels. So I went on to a sort of a deep dive-in journey into really learning everything I could about these vessels. So I'm going to be sharing with you my own personal take and my personal experience and everything that I've learned on these vessels from a very classical Chinese medicine perspective, a traditional Chinese medicine perspective. We're going to look at Li Shijian's work, we're going to look at this Nanjing, we're going to talk about what the systematic classical of acupuncture and moxibustion said, we're going to look at my own favorite person, Jeffrey Yuan's work, and we're going to integrate all of that and then add my own personal take on it from a clinical psychology, behavioral psychology, neuroscience, philosophy, and one of my favorite topics, which is quantum physics. And we're going to integrate all of that into the dynamics of the 8 extra vessels. I really look forward to sharing some of the history and development of the 8 extra vessels. So as you would know, there is a lot of confusion out there in terms of the point system. So what is the master point? Why was it developed? What is the couple point? Do I use the couple point with the master point? Do I use them together? Do I isolate them? Do I use the body points? Is it essential to use the body points? Which order do I do them? What is the needle technique? We're going to cover all of this. We're going to look at the history and development of the 8 extra vessels, and we're going to really discover and create a very solid, structured way of how we can delve into these vessels and how we can use them with our treatments. We're going to look at different conditions such as fertility and gut health and respiratory stuff and cancer and heart disease. We're going to look at the underlying emotions that govern some of these chronic conditions, and then how these vessels basically integrate and work with dis-ease or distress, and how we can tap into these miraculous mystical vessels and create a really long-term sustainable emotional and spiritual breakthrough and a really powerful shift in the health and wellness of individuals. We're going to be looking at the familial and relationship dynamics from a child with their parents and the child with their other primary caregivers and teachers and babysitters and uncles and grandparents and siblings, and how any kind of overwhelming experience in the way of trauma such as verbal abuse, physical abuse, sexual abuse, and how these things depict our behavior and how behavior shifts from that time, from the first cycle of life. So Ling Shu talks about the 10-year cycles, Su Wen talks about 7-8-year cycles. How this first primary cycle of life depicts the outcome of how we are going to be and the conditions of our behavior thereabouts. And we're going to look at tapping into these vessels and how we can shift that to bringing people back to a more authentic sense of self and overcoming some of these emotional baggage. So I really look forward to sharing a lot of my personal knowledge and personal clinical experience. And we're going to talk about almost unlimited amount of case studies. As I said earlier, I often use these channels. So we're going to be talking a lot about different live case studies and how I've personally used them. And we're going to craft, obviously, treatment principles for each particular vessel. We're going to go through each vessel one by one, break them down into the vessels, the trajectory, what they do, their functions, physiology, behavioral psychology. We're going to look at the individual points, and we're going to look at the psychology of these points and what it all means, and we're going to integrate all of that. So if you are not using these vessels and you're really, really interested in learning more about it, I invite you to come and join us. If you're a practitioner who currently uses these vessels, but maybe not getting the kind of results you would like, maybe it's not structured, really implore you and reinforce you to think about coming to these 2-day seminars so I can help you become more structured and to get more predictable results. Or if you're just a student who's really curious about learning more about these vessels, especially from the area of mental health, I really invite you to join me over the next 2 days. So tap anywhere on any of the, click anywhere on the tabs on this page, and come and join me over this two powerful and inspiring days. And I really look forward to having you and sharing my personal knowledge on the depth of these amazing vessels. I'll see you there.